Yeah, it still goes to like right up to like 28 pounds right there. The only thing I'm wondering,
yeah, I can't figure it out.
the only thing I'm wondering is if we pull the coil out, and I'll try to do it, I'll check with a timing light, make sure the timing's synced between the AEM and the motor, and just make sure the timing's not like super retarded or something. Because if it's like way retarded, then it'll overboost. It'll try to build more boost. There's a possibility of like the sync point's not right, so we can try it at. We just got to pull number 1 coil. We got to pull this guy out, and then I can just put my coil leads on it. Yeah, we'll pull them out and then we'll bridge it with this, and I can check it with the timing light. Yeah, it's weird. It's building like. How many springs are in there?
2. 2 springs and 2 colors going by the chart should have made 15.
15, yeah, because it's like doubling that basically, which is not right. I can change the sync point in the AEM because the factory has a fixed point, but I can vary where it looks at virtually, and I can change the timing. So sometimes the sync point that they give you with the base map isn't correct. So like right now, the sync might be 10 degrees retarded or something, which could make it overboost. So I'm just gonna check it. And on the 2Js, on the part of the balancer assembly, like where the crank pickup is, sometimes they actually can slip and move. And even though you think if everything is put together right, it should be just good, and the computer should run the motor like that. If that position moves, then everything's thrown off. So the only way to check it is with a light. I want to verify that the ignition timing at the engine is what the AEM is seeing. So if I'm commanding 30 degrees at the engine, or at the AEM Series 2 box, that I'm getting 30 degrees at the actual engine. So right now, I installed a jumper wire between the spark plug and the coil pack here, which will allow me to hook my timing light onto the car, and I can actually shoot the timing and see what it's at. So if I lock the timing at, say, 30 degrees in there, I should see 30 degrees at the balancer down here. So we're going to do that and just verify the timing, because we're still getting the overboosting issue. And if the AEM the sync point isn't synced with the engine, and let's say the timing is retarded, it could make it overboost. So this is just one more thing I'm going to check before we start looking at more mechanical things. So go ahead and do that and see where we're at here. Yeah, it's right on. I locked it at 10 and I'm getting 10, so it's synced. Okay. So that's not the problem. Well, that verifies that it's synced right and it works. Okay. So why are we getting overboost? That's the next question. The one thing I didn't like was the compressor the nipple off the compressor cover. Okay. The line was a little loose, and that's the reference line to the side port on the gate. If that doesn't, if it's loose or it's leaking or something, that could create an overboosting because it won't give it full pressure to the gate. So we might have to pull that intake back off real quick. Okay, all right, no problem. I'll shut it off, and then we'll just double check that line, because they just get thrown. I'm working on a car and I go to all right, you know what? Goddamn tools. Hold on. I know I have on my back here in the toolbox. Should be good. I don't know what the fuck. Yeah, let's throw the intake back on it, and then you gotta put the coil back in.
Yeah, no problem. I'll stick that right back there. I got the screws over there.
Okay, yeah, no, I'll try that. Goes right to like 30 pounds, like that. Yeah. We'll just run the vacuum line from the side port. Actually, we can just do this. This will make it easier. If we pull, yeah, just cap it off of this one right now. I mean, if this doesn't do it, then there's something up at the gate. because it's instant. Like it doesn't even. Yeah. Yeah. So the controller, it's both channels are turned all the way down, and then on top of that, it's yeah, all the way down. Everything's turned all the way down, and it's on. I had it on or off. I wanted to see if it's the same thing. You already made 550 right there, and I didn't even get a full pull. I only went to $6,000. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's gonna make plenty of power.
Okay.
I wouldn't turn it up, to be honest with you.
I was just curious how to like go about having any adjustments though, because now obviously that's not gonna work.
The only other thing you could do, we could put a 3-port boost solenoid on it to be able to control boost like right from the AEM, or you get like an AEM true boost gauge, and then to have the same idea as this, a high and a low on a gauge. What's this guy? Serial gauge.
Serial gauge.
You're already at like 85%.
I mean, honestly, that's phenomenal power.
It's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's not.
Honestly, I never even thought it was going to make that much, to be honest. I really didn't think it was going to be that much.
Yeah. So now you're in a predicament that where the wastegate can't bypass enough from that turbo to regulate the boost. Yeah. Well,
ideally, a good street turbo.
Right. No, you're getting full boost at like 4,300. Like it's working. It's obviously making power. It's just the boot. It's not holding boost. So we bypassed the boost controller in the car, which was actually creating the overboosting situation. It was hitting like 30 pounds as soon as I'd get into boost. We bypassed that. I was able to start making pulls off the wastegate spring, but now we're getting a situation where we're getting boost creep, where the wastegate spring should be roughly 15 to 18 pounds. We're actually going up to around 20, and then by the time I get to about 6,500, it's hitting about 28 pounds of boost. It's making like 660 wheel at the moment, but it's running too much boost and not being able to control it. And on pump gas, it's going to end up damaging the engine long term to leave it like that. So we're going to try to figure out, we're going to run a new wastegate line and see if there's a crack or a tear or something in the lower wastegate line, and possibly that's the issue. If not, we're going to have to pull the wastegate off and maybe swap springs or look at what's going on. There's something is going on that's creating an overboosting situation, which isn't safe. So we got to figure out what it is before we can continue tuning. Off of the wastegate port on the lower part. Yeah, we're gonna run a whole new line just from from there to the compressor. That way, the whole line assembly you have there is bypassed. And then beyond that, I don't know how we're gonna get the wastegate off. Like if we had to pull it, it looks like it'd be.
It's
Yeah, there's no leak on it. Yeah, there's no leak on it, so.
So you just want to run that from there.
Right to there, and then we'll try it that way. Yeah, that doesn't do it. Then you got something mechanically going on with the gate, or it's just not gonna hold. One or the other. So we just did a few more dyno pulls, and we're still continuing to get the overboosting issue. I added some ignition timing to the spark tables to try to get the boost under control. Sometimes if the ignition timing is too conservative,
since this is 93 octane, you can get over boosting to some extent on pump gas ignition timing. So I added a little bit in to see what it would do. It still didn't correct the issue. So we've exhausted it. We've bypassed the boost controller. We've ran a new wastegate line from the pressure source to the actual wastegate. The last thing left is going to be removing the wastegate from the car, and we're going to pull the wastegate springs out and double check that everything on the wastegate assembly is installed properly and everything internally is good. The diaphragm isn't pinched, the valve is traveling freely. As long as that looks good and we put it all back together, that'll be the last step. If we can't resolve it, then they're going to have to be either a turbo change to give more back pressure in the manifold, or adding another wastegate to be able to control boost, because there's a tile 44 millimeter MVR, a single wastegate on the log manifold right now. I'm just not sure if mechanically it's not holding enough boost, or if there's actually an issue with the wastegate itself. So we're going to find out right now.
All right, I really do not look forward to getting that back in. So,
The valve seat, where's the seal one? Okay. We'll take the hat off. According to this, that's a lot of boost in there. It's like maybe.
I thought, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I thought I just did 2. Maybe the 3 springs I thought added up to because the more springs you add, more pressure. So I guess I thought that was the 15, because it was, let's see, yeah, the beige, gray, and gold.
If we reduce the boost by 6 psi, 5-6 psi, that might be enough to make it work. If you can get that in there, I want to try something real quick, because if we put a vacuum line on the lower port with a hand pump, it'll actually pull the valve seat, try to open it, and that fire ring will push up, and there will be no resistance to get the clamp on. If I can get underneath it, you pull the wheel, and I can slide underneath this thing. Because otherwise, I was kind of worried about pulling that. I thought that this might happen. Because there's like no room right there to. Yeah, just pull it and put it somewhere. And then I'll get an engine stand real quick and I'll just crawl under there. I should be able to just push up, and then yeah, I can get right under the.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, like once I can even hold the gate up to it and get it lined up, it's just like getting that clamp.
Right.
And sorry. I don't know if I can do it.
I can't see shit.
Let's see.
Right?
Yep, you got it.
Okay. It sucks real bad.
This is, Jeff, I think you're good.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, it was definitely a good call.
If it doesn't, then you're gonna have to change some stuff.
Yeah.
But this is the only thing I can come up with for right now. So after we just put the wastegate on, we dropped the wastegate spring about 5-6 pounds of spring pressure. We're gonna see now it should hopefully not creep as high. This is just a guess, shot in the dark. It may work, it may not. The goal is to keep the boost level reasonable for this pump gas, so it doesn't potentially damage the engine and make too much power. So find out right now if it works.
swapped the wastegate spring from a 15 and we went down to a 10. It's ultimately still boost creeping all the way up to about 26 pounds. It's still doing the same thing, it's just taking longer to get there, which indicates that this wastegate has bad gate placement on the manifold, and there's not enough back pressure to bleed out, get it out of the manifold to control the turbo. So right now we're going to probably have to put a lower rev limiter to keep it safe, because it's making like 660 on pump gas, which is not going to be safe long term. So we're going to end up, I'm just going to go through the rest of the part throttle, mapping for fuel, and check a bunch of other stuff, and then test drivability. So that's about all we're going to be able to do today. Thanks for tuning in to the Daily Tune episodes here at Evans Tuning. Just completed this 95 Toyota Supra. We ran into boost creep issues. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a solid tune on it. It's still going to have starting, drivability, power. Everything's tuned up to around 6,500. At that point, the boost creep's too high, so I put a rev limiter to keep it safe. The owner's either going to change the manifold to a tubular manifold with 2 wastegates, or put a smaller turbo on to try to get more back pressure in the manifold to allow the wastegate to control boost. So there are 2 different options. At some point I'll have to bring the car back and resolve that problem. But for now, the car put down 660 wheel at 25 psi, which unfortunately it's boost creeping to that point. It's not out of choice, and I'm trying to run it that high. But the tune is conservative, so there's fail safes in place to catch something if if it knocks, or if it leans out. So the motor should be fine, but unfortunately I can't turn it down anymore. So that's the way it's going to leave. And thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for more episodes coming up.